Today we're talking about Monolith, which is a new sci-fi thriller horror directed by Matt Vesely. I am Phil Marriott, and we are Boys on Film. Look who's here. It's Matt. From Microfilm. How would you sum up this film? It's kind of like a one-woman play almost, isn't it? It's like a theatre play on screen.
Yeah, I think they probably did that because they probably conceived of it during COVID, where they couldn't have a lot of people in the same room at the same time. And it's easy to just make a film with one person on screen and then a bunch of voiceover people. So I'm sure that was part of the construction of the story, was how can we make this simple and just kind of have one person doing most of it.
This is about a woman who's played by Lily Sullivan, who was in Evil Dead Rise, and she's a disgraced journalist who tries to salvage her career by turning to investigation podcasting. So she's like investigative journalism as a podcast.
I think you're supposed to realize pretty quickly that she comes from a wealthy family and she's living with her parents, and her parents are gone on vacation, or for some reason they're not there for a while. So she's house sitting, apparently. Because of her wealth, her family's wealth, she can buy all the equipment and the production to set up the podcast quite quickly. It's kind of suspension of disbelief how this is all set up very quickly, but just go with that, and then the story kind of commences from there.
So it starts off almost like a radio play, because you're hearing voices, you're not necessarily seeing people that she's talking to. So these people that she's talking to about what transpires to be this brick, this mystery object, which obviously is causing a lot of problems. The conversations that she was having with these people, I mean, she was fine, but it was just these other people, it didn't ring true to me. It didn't feel like they were genuine people.
Interesting, because I thought it did work. We'll get to the conclusion at the end, but I think this was a case where you didn't buy it and didn't really like the film, but I actually did buy it and actually did like most of the film. So I was kind of along for the ride that the people she was talking to were actually relatively good voice actors. She had a hard role because she had to carry the whole film herself and of be I think she's the only person on screen the entire film. So she kind of had a lot of the heavy lifting to do with the film. I believed it. I believe she was talking to these individual people. They were obviously voice actors who they didn't repeat the same person multiple times. It was clearly different people doing each character that she talks to. I thought she pulled it off.
Yeah, I thought she was okay. I mean, I must admit, I preferred her in Evil Dead Rise. I don't know whether it was just like an overacting thing. To me, it just felt a bit melodramatic.
I guess I did. Well, it was a brick that just appears in people's homes or at people's homes. They believe this object right away and they take it into their home and they give it meaning immediately. They don't throw it away. They don't disbelieve its powers. They kind of are sucked into the believing that this object is really powerful and really mystical and from another world. And maybe the setup of the story is that it kind of controls your mind and you start to believe that you need this object in your life and it's going to transform your entire life. And so these people take this on and give it this power that it may or may not actually have.
Maybe it's because it was just one woman and voice interactions that I was a bit exhausted by, to be honest. I found that quite tiring. Because like you say, it's quite a job, isn't it, for one actor to kind of hold the film. I mean, yes, there were other actors there, but obviously you couldn't see them. So I don't know whether that's an easier job. Maybe it's more of a difficult job to just be a voice actor.
I think it's probably harder because you don't have anything to bounce off of.
Yeah.
And so you're just reacting to someone like reading lines to you. So it's probably like rehearsing lines where someone reads them and then you have to react to just a non-actor reading something to you. It's also, you have to like this actress. You have to be into her performance, because if you're not going to like the movie because it's entirely her every minute on screen. So if you're not believing in her, you're not going to believe in the film.
I don't know whether that's just because I didn't like the dialogue. I think it was the script that I wasn't that keen on, and obviously the other actors, I didn't feel like they were real people.
Maybe you could think of it as maybe these people aren't. I think they're there. I think they're real people, but maybe she's hearing things that she wants to hear to help produce her story. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Maybe she's just kind of pushing the narrative to fit what she wants to believe about these bricks, and they may or may not be what she wants them to be. Do you know what I mean?
So you were quite gripped by it. I wasn't really that gripped. I lost interest quite early in, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes in. I thought it was quite exhausting.
I don't know if the ending, the last, say, 10 minutes really worked, where it's kind of like the culmination of what she believes this object is doing. And she's kind of losing her mind at that point. And it's kind of like the point where it stops being relatively realistic and becomes kind of surreal and fantastical in her mind. And I don't know if I buy that ending. I mostly bought it. It was done relatively subtly, and the special effects were pretty realistic. If you're just thinking it's going to be a straight up drama and not have these fantastical sci-fi fantasy elements, then if you want that to happen, then you'll be probably pleasantly surprised. If you don't, then might roll your eyes at what happens at the end.
Yeah.
But
To me, it just felt like a little bit of a weak Black Mirror episode that was overstretched to a feature. Because
I can
it was
see
about
that.
an hour and a half, wasn't it? I mean, an hour and 35 minutes maybe. I think that's a tall ask, especially when you're thinking it's one actor pretty much and a lot of voice actors.
To quote Sean Vickers, you could cut 20 minutes out of it and it'd probably be a better film, right?
He'll be pleased with that he's getting a name check.
Yeah, shout out to Sean. Sean has to watch and share this video because he's mentioned.
On the plus side, though, I did think it kind of started off quite cozy, almost like a bit like The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog, where you've got Adrienne Barbeau in the lighthouse as a radio presenter late at night. It kind of had that vibe, although obviously it was daytime. I think they missed a trick. They could have had her recording at nighttime, and I think that would have made it a bit more spooky.
She did that sometimes, but I think it was mainly a daytime film, right?
I think you enjoyed it more than me. It's safe to say, probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd give it 3 stars. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it was a really good setup and a really good idea, and I think it was relatively successfully produced and shot, etc.
I thought it was quite boring, but I think if Lily Sullivan hadn't been in it, I think it would have been a lower rating, because I think she did save it for me a little bit, but I did get quite tired of it, so it's a 2 stars rating for me. But
Okay.
I just wasn't won over. I didn't believe it. I didn't think some of the voice actors were that convincing. And yeah, it's a shame because I think it had a nice premise. I think it could have been more enjoyable. But obviously you enjoyed it more, so that's good. So it's Monolith,
Yes.
and it's on release in the UK and Ireland on digital platforms from the 26th of February, so soon. Matt, always good to see you. What's happening with Microfilm? Are you still busy in the studio recording?
Yes. We're recording not 1, but 2 albums. 1 to release this year, probably in early fall, and 1 to release next year, probably in springtime.
Fantastic. So all the details down below. And it's Bandcamp, isn't it, that you're on? So if people want to check out your music and purchase, hopefully people will purchase your music. Yeah, we'll see you soon. And thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out one of our other reviews, Above Our Heads, which is very similar to Monolith, if you liked our review of this film. And we'll see you soon.